Welcome back to the channel. RacerX here, and today I'm going to answer a question that many of you have been asking me, and that's, look, now that your twin turbo setup on your Mustang is completed, is your new car faster than your Hellcat? Well, today I'm going to do a couple little tests, and we're going to find out if this car is in fact faster than my Hellcat. If my Hellcat was faster, it's always fun to kind of put them up against each other, or at least talk about that. I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do it. First, I got to go put the big tires on the car to make sure that we're going to get all the traction this thing needs, and we'll see what happens. Also, guys, if you're new to my channel, do me a big, gigantic favor. Hit subscribe for me. You can locate that right down there in the corner. Also, you can follow me at RacerX Official on Instagram, and here we go. So I have been as eager as you guys to really find out, is the twin turbo Mustang 5.0, is it actually faster than the Hellcat? Is it slower than the Hellcat? I haven't had a chance to even take this thing out to the track yet. Really, we just got the tune dialed in on the car. So I will be bringing you guys a lot of track footage here in the near future. But I do want to kind of find out how it stacks up against the Hellcat. Obviously, you see I have the stock little 235 tires on this. Trying, many of you have said, well, why don't you put bigger tires on? I'm trying, guys, trust me. My wheels, I'm having a little bit of an issue with my wheels, my custom ones that I ordered for the car to run more meat. But for today's purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and put the race setup on it. As you can see, that is my weld. That is a bead-locked ET Street R, 17-inch. That should hook up the power quite nicely, so no worries about putting the power down, hopefully, with that particular setup on this monster twin turbo build. So it should be a lot of fun. I do not have access to the Hellcat anymore, guys, unfortunately. So I can't run it side by side, but what I do have is some of the Draggy performances, and I will actually show you what the Hellcat was able to do on the Draggy 62-130, and we'll compare it to how the Mustang does today, and I feel like that should be a very accurate test. Same driver behind the wheel of both cars, and even though it's a lot hotter today than the last time I ran the Hellcat, at least it'll give us a pretty good indication as to how these two cars compare. And through the magic of editing, boom, there you go. Now the car is sitting on the drag pack. Yes, these are my welds that actually came with the car. Travis from Gearheads was nice enough to kind of sell me this package, obviously coming with this car. And man, what a difference in stance that this car has, going from those stock little 235s to these bad daddies. Of course, you do have the front runners. Those are radials in the front. And then, of course, you jump back here to the 17-inch bead-locked welds. And man, there's not a lot of gap there between the actual tire and the fender, but that's kind of what you want, but it tucks in just enough so it doesn't hit. And man, it looks fantastic. It really kind of just really changes the whole look and feel of this car. So now I'm poised to go ahead and put it down through there, put the power to the ground. So let's see how this thing really stacks up. Now, it makes for a really interesting comparison when you talk about a Hellcat, which essentially is close to an $80,000 car, at least right now. Comes with a supercharger already on it, so that engine is already made for boost. So you can kind of pulley those down and then just kind of go to town. We know that car made, it was a record-breaking car, and that car made, well, over 1,000 horsepower. So very fast car. We saw it did run a 944 in Houston and very low DA. Just an awesome specimen of a car, the Hellcat. When we jump over to the Mustang GT, we're talking about a car that stickers over $35,000 less money. This is a naturally aspirated setup, and it's meant to be naturally aspirated, but we know the Coyote is very robust, which is why I picked this platform to do a twin turbo to. The Hellcat ran close to 20 pounds of boost, whereas this car, even at 10 pounds of boost, it's just insane how much power this car makes, because as we saw, this one made almost 900 wheel on the blue car at like 12.5 pounds, whereas the Hellcat to make 900 wheel really needed about 19 pounds. So it's just insane. But you know, this car is significantly lighter. We're talking about a 900 pound weight difference between the Charger Hellcat that I owned and this car. So we're going to run this car full interior today. We're going to run it on the Draggy, and I'm going to look at my numbers really quick so you know what we're comparing them to. Obviously, no access to the Hellcat anymore. But I did get some great runs with the Draggy to give us something to really kind of tell. Is this car faster? Is it slower than the Hellcat on a highway roll? They said we'll get some track footage later, but for right now, let's just see how this one stacks up with the meat in the back, so I know the car will hook up, and we'll see which car actually puts down the better numbers from 60 to 130. Now, as I'm looking at my Draggy app here, I'm kind of looking for the best run that the Hellcat sort of ever had. And the best I'm able to see here is a 573. I'll actually put that up here on the screen so we kind of know what we're dealing with here. But a couple other key items of distinction. That run was done in December. The DA was extremely low, actually below zero. I think that was on like a 30-something degree day. So the car had a little bit of trouble hooking up like 30 as I was leaving, kind of rolling into it. But I believe by 60, it was pretty well hooked in. I do see a couple other ones here, a 591, 606, stuff like that. I think we were still struggling for traction there. But that was the best the Hellcat ever did, 573. Now, I don't necessarily know if that's a fair comparison because as I look, it is 99 degrees outside today here in Texas. So we are in one of the hottest times of the year here, and it is just ridiculous hot. So the car won't be making nearly the power that it would, obviously, on a day like in December, like the Hellcat had. So it's a huge disadvantage. So as I kind of run down the list here, the best I'm able to see from the Hellcat other than that looked to be a run that was I believe it was a 663. So that was actually done in July in much higher DA. I'll put that one up here. So I feel like that's probably the better comparison right now, the 663 versus the one that was like a 570 something, because it just, you know, the atmospheric conditions were so different. So that's going to be our benchmark, the 663 run that the Hellcat performed. And now this car has different boost settings. So to kind of start things off, I'm going to run the car on extremely low boost, basically the baby boost setting, which is going to be between like maybe 5.5 and 6 pounds. And we will turn it up from there. So we'll see how it does on 5.5, 6 pounds. That should not be able to compete with the Hellcat. And then of course, we'll turn it up. I think that setting should be somewhere around, say, 640, 650 wheel. The second setting should be around 800 wheel. That's more like 10 pounds. I believe the next setting should be somewhere in like, say, that 840 range. And conservatively, the fourth setting, if I chose to do that, would be, around probably 880. That's conservative. On a cold day, it would be over 900 wheels. So, we'll see how things go, and we'll just see what the comparison is like. I have finally reached my destination after many hours of traveling. I have reached Velocidad, Mexico, where I have special permission to go ahead and put this thing through its paces, 60 to 130, to see how it performs. Obviously, we've got the drag pack on here, so I fully expect it to hook up. Now, I'm going to run this very first pass on low boost, as I mentioned, 6 pounds of boost. I don't expect that to be competitive with what the number the Hellcat put down. A couple other quick qualifiers. I've taken no weight. Matter of fact, I've added weight to the car. Not really on purpose, but I've got a tire back here. I'm kind of working on some other stuff on the wheels for this car, which you'll see a video on that later. But working on that piece of it, so I had to have an extra tire in the car. I've got a 3-ton jack in the back of this. I've got all sorts of stuff back there because I'm working on other things. So I basically took no weight at all. Full interior, everything is in this car, so it probably weighs more than it even should. And it is a blistering 98 degrees outside right now. So the conditions are really not favorable for this. So let's see what happens. Pass number one, about 6 pounds of boost, and we'll go from there. All right, here we go on pass number one. We should see about 5.5 pounds of boost on this pass. We'll see what happens. So here we go. Workout for the brakes. A good run. Okay, that first run was a 786, kind of as I expected.
Quarter mile.
It's still going, but kind of as I expected. It would be not quite as fast as the Hellcat. A 786, still nothing too shabby, but over a full second slower than the Hellcat. At about 5.5 pounds is the most boost I saw on that run. It was definitely shifting hard. I'm shifting it in track mode, so that's where we're at. So the next one, we're going to go ahead and jump up to the second boost setting. That almost doubles the boost, guys. We're going from basically 5.5 pounds to 10 pounds. All right, so here we go. Pass number two. This is at 10 pounds of boost. Basically 800 wheel horsepower is what we're looking at here. So let's see how it goes. that pass, I just kind of rolled into it. I'm still trying to figure out just how well these tires are going to grab. They seem to grab quite well. Obviously, these Welds and the Mickey Thompson ET Street Rs, they just do their thing. Car is shifting really hard. I'm just amazed how hard that shift is. Anyway, but the car did pretty well. So a 6.49, mind you, that I didn't even take a break with the car. I was going to. I just went ahead and let it rip. So that was on a very hot pass. It ran a 6.49. So compared to the Hellcat's pass in very similar DA, the best it did, I think, was a 6.63. So this car, that tells me this car, even with all the extra crap I have in it, is, even on the second boost setting, is actually slightly faster on the highway at least, or from a 60 to 130 roll than the Hellcat, which is super, super impressive. Remember, this engine is not built for boost, and that is at 10 pounds of boost versus almost 20 pounds that the Hellcat was running. So I may go ahead and make one more little pass here, and the great thing is all I have to do is just hit this little button right here, and there we go. There's some extra horsepower. We'll run it in the third boost setting. I'm only going to make one pass doing that just to see what it will do. It is so hot outside, guys. So the car, I'm asking a lot of the car right now. So we'll just do one last pass, see what it does, and we'll call it a day. Here we go. That one at 11.5 pounds of boost, which would be maybe 850 wheel or so. That's what we've seen it on a couple of different dynos, right around that area, especially in this heat. That was a 5.79, basically right about the same as the Hellcat accomplished in like 30-degree weather. This one just did it with more crap in the back of the car. Keep in mind, when the Hellcat did it, the Hellcat had no seats in it or anything like that. This car just did it in 98-degree weather on its fourth consecutive pull, and it went a 5.79. That's pretty impressive. This thing is a highway monster for sure. I do want to kind of just acknowledge my guys over at Hellion Turbo Systems, because they've been so good to work with, and I am unbelievably impressed with the kit here. I mean, just think about it. You've got essentially a stock Coyote with a stock trans that just went and did what it did, and keep something else in mind here, guys. I'm doing all this with just a push of a button. I'm raising my horsepower 150, another 75, another 50. It's that easy to do, which I love. But here's the kicker. As fast as I just went with the car, these turbos will flow like 2.5 times that much boost. I have it turned way down. This isn't even working for these turbos, so they're turned way down, and we're still running those kind of numbers. And of course, if I ever built the engine and the trans in this car, we could double that amount of boost very easily, and it would just really be insane. Well, there you have it. So I actually did a couple of other kind of practice sort of runs that you guys did not get to see. I never turned the car off. You know, my little spot here in Velocidad, Mexico is basically just sort of a big loop. And I just kind of made passes, and I wanted to just sort of turn it up and see what the car was really capable of. As I mentioned, almost 100 degrees outside today. The conditions really sucked. Plus, the car was boiling hot because I never turned it off and let it cool down. I just went after it time and time again. But what we did see, and we know how fast the Hellcat was, guys. The Hellcat, an incredibly fast car, a record-breaking car, and to be honest, this car will not 60 foot with the Hellcat. It just won't. The Hellcat was a monster out of the hole, but up top, kind of as I expected, this car actually outperforms the Hellcats. We saw on basically baby boost, or 5.5 pounds. We saw the car put down a pretty solid number. What did we see? We saw a 786, so that's significantly slower than what the Hellcat put down in similar weather. But then things changed once we hit the second boost setting, almost double the amount of boost, almost right about 10 pounds. We did see a 649, and I was actually just kind of rolling into it at 40. I probably could have got a little more head of steam. And keep in mind, guys, I have extra weight in this car right now. I didn't bother to take anything out of it. And that was on its side. It was a completely hot pull, a 649. So the car is actually even faster than the Hellcat at in similar conditions at the second boost level. And then when I raised it up to the third boost level, which threw in maybe another 1.5 pounds of boost, we saw the car go a 5. Super impressive. It went a 5, 79, and which is basically the exact same thing the Hellcat did after it was already cooled down, completely stripped down, and in 30-degree weather versus the 100-degree weather that this car just did it in. So I am extremely impressed with that number in those conditions. Like I said, hot pulls and of course 100-degree weather, and this car just threw it down. So a very impressive performance out of the Mustang. So as we know, and it's sort of as I expected, this car is absolutely no joke in the 60 to 130. Like I said, at the track, who knows who would come out victorious in the quarter mile, because I would have to catch the Hellcat, because the Hellcat would be way out in front of me. So it would be a game of catch up. So who knows? But anyway, guys, it's been a fun one. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Hopefully this answers your question. Is the Mustang faster than the Hellcat? We'll see. So anyway, guys, have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, RacerX.